8 seconds. Power on your Stupometron helmet. I just keep thinking about concepts now. Turn on your Stupometron ray. Six. Sometimes forget what year it is. Oh no, I'm 8 months into it. We're coming with some thunder. I'm sure someone will look at this and they'll say, man, when did they get rid of that house? And the answer is, I don't know. It always trips me out how I have to keep my head on a swivel. Of course. Even the manhole covers aren't made in America anymore. Makes sense. Or see, I'm saying it doesn't make sense because of capitalism, but I'm saying it makes sense because of trends. The dumbass nature of capitalism that the raw materials are here. The manufacturing was here. But out of spite and greed, you go and move this thing halfway across the world, and you would rather put it on a boat that burns crude fuel and ship it halfway across the world to save a couple bucks. We're all complicit in it. I just laugh at some of the reactions. I had his cell phone glued to his ear. That was weird. They got 2 recycle bins. Would I ever get a swimming pool? And the answer is no. There's just too many. That's an added cost that I don't need. I'd have no use for it. Last time I used a swimming pool was probably 10 years ago. Yeah, it's probably 10 years ago. When I used to go to the 23.5-hour fitness over there in Addison. And they had a swimming pool, and one day I just decided, you know what, let me go ahead and try to work that into my routine. And it felt nice, but trying to store the wet gear, and it was a bit much. That was the crazy thing about the Addison one. It had a swimming pool. It was a tiny gym too. It was not much of a weight area. Not many exercise bikes. And yet they had nerve enough to have a pool with a few lanes. I can't remember if they had a sauna or not. All of them had something, a little bit of something, but they didn't have everything. How's it going?
Pretty good.
What was I trying to say? So I would go to the one on Royal Lane at 635, and or not, Royal Lane at 75. And it had, what did that sucker have? It had a big weight room. And a big exercise area for like Pilates and whatnot. They had this thing that was like, it was a fad. I saw it at one place, and then people hardly ever used it. It had these weird suspension bands, and you could do like, I guess, body weight exercises or something. And there seemed to be a whole group that knew how to use them. But it looked dangerous to me because it was like you could slip up and dislocate something real easily. But I can't remember if that one had a sauna and a steam room. Very few of them did. Yeah. No, I don't think they had. They might have. I just never used it. I know it didn't have a pool. And then as you went further up north, I had like the basic membership. If I had got the super membership, You can go to the 23.5-hour fitness and like McKinney and shit. It had towel service. I was like, I don't know what that means. That was it. I was paying for towel service. No, I'm trying to think of all the places. That's got me thinking. The worst 23.5-hour fitnesses were in Irving. Oh my God, they were awful. The one on Story Road, it was too crowded, and I felt you always felt like you were going to get into a fist fight with people. It was crowded. Like I said, I'd go there it was dangerous at night and crowded during the day, of course. The other one that was awful was the one next to I want to say Executive Airport, but it was where the Fry's Electronics was out there in like Spring Valley. That was an awful one. It was next to a hotel, and I went there one time, and I guess maybe it was because it was spring break, but it was more a hangout spot than it was a gym. All these young idiots on the cell phones, and they were taking pictures of themselves working out and not really working out. The weirdest thing. Oh yeah, here to check the stuff touching the power lines. That was one reason to walk up here. Anyway, I've been to some pretty bad 23.5-hour fitnesses. Listen to this again. I'm trying to think what was, like I said, I've been to some pretty bad 23.5-hour fitnesses. There was the one when I used to go to ETD, that one was awful too. It was tiny. It was tiny. Did they have a pool? I think they tried to, they had nerve enough to try to have a little bit of a pool or something over there. That's weird, and then it just stops. Yeah, it looks like it might be a transmission line. Yeah, I think it is a transmission line. So it went under. Huh. I don't know. And it's touching right there. There's a tree limb right there. I don't know what that is. You know, it looks like it might be. This is a weird setup. Maybe they're not transmission lines right here. Anyway, this over here. Should be doing this after. And it reduces the speed down to, anyway. All right. Suddenly this area got a whole lot more busy. So at least between this segment, people are going. People say, oh, I mean, I get what they're saying. There's a lot of folks that say speed bumps don't really work. People just speed through them, and then they. I'm gonna test that theory out. Here we go. So she's on. I guess that's true. As soon as people go past them. Once again, it's the transmission line right there. So we'll make a note of this. This is where we are too. And of course, this thing's going to heat up if I keep. See, like right here. You withdraw your statement. No, I don't withdraw my statement, because here's the thing. Is it looks like you sit there and you say, well, that looks like it's Welch cut. It's not, because what'll happen is so that's what we had happen in West Dallas. We were out there looking at it, and then the wind was blowing. And that's why they say you got to have at least 10 feet of clearance, because the wind will start blowing and whipping around, and all of that is going to get hit. And then what happens is it starts rubbing up against the power lines, and then it triggered a blackout over there in West Dallas. Next thing you know, they couldn't get there fast enough with crews going around, and they couldn't get crews out there fast enough. The whole foliage is covered. And it's grown up into the transformer. Now they say that the transformer's insulin. Some people are on some sites, and they were having the electricians were talking about it. As long as it's sealed up, it should be fine. Should be fine. It's not. That's what they're talking about. The guy goes through the speed bumps, and then it shows like some defiance. Alright, did I get a picture of that? Like I said, I should be paying attention to something else, but I am trying to look at this. utility one. That one, it looked like it got ripped off the pole and it came down, and then you see this stuff right here. Anyway, it's look worse in the dark than it does during the day. No, it looks like somebody's been here since I last came up here. That's what it looks like, because I was up here the other day and I looked at it, and this is my final spot. See, like that's actually going through the transmission lines right there. There's no doubt. Right there. And right here. Going into the power. Alright. We got positions. Then I'm not sure these people are paying an HOA fee. But you see that chart topper up there, and they're supposed to be on top of it. Like you said, you're paying for the exterior. They're supposed to be keeping up with that. The HOA is supposed to watch your back on all that shit. And then you see that stuff growing into the power line, and one day what will happen is, like I said, it'll get windy, it'll get stormy, and then you're out of power. Because I think it's been walking into if I sit perfectly still. That's some bad driving, folks. What time is it? Exactly 1700. I've stalled too much. So theoretically what I'm supposed to do is wheel in here. Wheel over here. That's a big blind spot. I've never noticed that before. It's a nice little spot. Okay. It's walkable. Technically, it's walkable. was kind of the point. And you know, it's hot. It's 100 degrees out here. But I see what they're talking about in like the Strong Towns philosophy. Like I walk here, there's a shaded area. It's hot, but it doesn't feel that hot. Like it's not the sun beaming down there and just cooking my brain. Plus I'm wearing my hat. Another thing about the design of this place. Oh, they got speed bumps. Okay. I guess this is what they're talking about. Then you get situations like this where somebody tried to turn in and they kissed that curb pretty good. Damaged it. That's a side effect of what they talk about when they talk about stroads. That you got somebody who's trying to come in fast and they can't quite do it, and doing this and someone's going to come up behind me, because they always do. Keep forgetting this thing can get it's when it's brand new, it's so powerful it can actually get readings from both sides. That was that. You're bugging. Average speed 40-something miles an hour, man. Not bad. People are fiercely libertarian about that. Why is this pole here? Oh, it's underground. Okay, that's the new. That's right. That's right. It's the new. Okay, now I get it. That's right. Some building codes. So they ran this one. They ran this one up to that pole, and then it went under the house. And the box should be. It's there somewhere. But they went underground with it. I forgot that some people, they do, and I don't know if that's the new code or what, but they do that in my neighborhood. So this is telecom and electricity run over here, and then it goes underground. Oh, that's actually sticking out into the street. That's interesting. So every house across the street, they didn't do a run. What they did was they just run the wire here this way, and then they go under and into the houses. So rather than stringing on this side and then stringing on that side, they got one line that ties. So that means that if the okay, this is the part that doesn't make any sense. So then they stop this one right here. There's the transformer, there's the light. Is that a transmission line? Because how else did these people get? It's so bizarre. Yeah, okay. I think it's a transmission line right here. And it's got a limb touching. In fact, it's going right into. I hope that's not a transmission line. It's going right into the tree. I think it's kind of thin here, and then it crisscrosses with that, and then they merge for a second, and then it splits off again. And it keeps going. That's a transmission line. It's I think the only, like I said, I'm not sure what it's like a guide wire, but it goes in right here, and then you see where it junctions in. That's a transmission line. What the hell is they doing over here? Man, that is. All right, code says that's okay, I guess. And then here's another one that goes under. Man. Any way you can get it to the people, right? It doesn't have to be safe. And then you hear these stupid lines like, well, it hadn't hit it, nothing's gone wrong. Yeah, it hasn't. So that's what they're talking about. The people get mad that they have to go through speed bumps. And they rev up. But as you can see right there, he goes past the speed bump and he never gets beyond 20 miles an hour. So they do work. They're annoying. It looks like the people slow up a little bit, and when they try to speed up, it still takes them a while to get, you know, revved up. Anyway, I want them in my neighborhood. But yeah, it's like they said, if they really wanted to stop it from happening, they designed the entire street in such a way to where It discourages speeding. I like the idea of making these like little residential roads like this out of bricks. And yeah, you can go 50 miles an hour, but it's a rough ride. Oh, yeah. Car shaking all over the place. That would definitely work here in Dallas. Especially with like on a hot day like this where you see the asphalt is just buckling. Bricks don't buckle. Oh, you poor bastard. I got you doing that stupid UPS shit. Oh, run to the door, run back. We clock you every single time. It's too hot for that. Howdy. Oh man. You hate UPS drop-offs? I gotta see how many steps I got too. No, I don't hit them. Like I said, it gives me a chance to get out of here and kind of see what's going on. I guess that's a telecom. Oh, that's power. Goes right to that light. And then there's the ground cable. And these guys are on a completely separate power line. Yeah, you try to rev up and go, and I think the top speed we've seen so far is 20 miles an hour. Anyway. And the guy hits the speed bump, pop, pop, and he revs up. I keep wondering if I'm skewing the results. Like I said, I don't think people are paying attention, and then every once in a while, like I said, I saw the disgust on that guy's face. Whew, man, that's toasty. Yeah, I know, there's a stop sign right there. Get off your fucking cell phone. Waving me through like, no, you have my permission. I was like, I don't need your permission. I have the right of way. Was that a Greyhound that she had in the back there? And it looked like it was one of the ones that they got the what do they call it? I mean, it looked like the one that was coming from the track. It had all this weird looking headgear on. I was like, all right. So why did my camera get hot? Because I stopped for a second to look up at that thing. Well, that's the problem with the GoPro. I mean, it's probably the same with the other ones too, but there we go. The shade lets it cool off just a little bit. And I was in the UPS store and I thought, okay, thought it'd help it cool a little bit. But yeah, kind of walkable. You get to that one little section back there and it's such a low volume street, or at least it's supposed to be, that you can safely walk against the grain of traffic and see oncoming cars. That's the way you're supposed to. People are like, why are you walking against the grain of traffic? Like, that's the Texas Transportation Code says. Wear something highly reflective, walk against traffic so you can see them coming. In other words, Texas is saying, look, we can't watch out for you. We're not gonna put anything in place to watch out for you. So you're on your own. And on your own means when you're walking against the grain of traffic, it's like a game of Frogger. You see the car coming, maybe you'll get out of the way. This is pedestrian territory. I mean, this is car territory, not pedestrian. So she came out and got her chalk. Oh no, I got crushed. Probably not by a car though. There's no tire. That's sad. It was a. You think she did it? That's a good question. I'm thinking maybe that tire hit it, but there's no like residual tire marks. But it was definitely pulverized. Oh, this ought to be fun. Yeah, it's a whole lot different coming down here at night, during the day than it is. Less cars parked on the street. Gives me an idea who sits here all the time versus Red flags, man. Been a while.
How you doing?
Pretty good. Oh man, he starts giving me his medical information. I'm like, why do people? I gotta cut him out. Well, at least it gave him the battery a chance to cool off. Unfortunately, I've cooled off too. Dutch Bros. So those are the guys that bought Salad to Go. Franchise folded. Just they went down like Spirit Airlines, and then Dutch Bros went in there and bought them up. Maybe because they wanted the locations. I don't know. So I wonder if we're gonna get a Dutch Bros over here soon. I don't even know what Dutch Bros sells. I don't know if they make sandwiches or coffee or what. That was time I didn't have. I don't have any time, man. I'm constantly going from place to place. So if I didn't get enough steps, that's just the way it's going to be. But he's always trying to pick my brain to see how the neighborhoods are doing so that he can figure out if he needs to stick around or not for the real estate. And I'm like, we're getting there. We're getting there. We're just it's touching the sidewalk, therefore I will pick it up. Mostly just because it's another trash can over here. No one's, like I said, people don't say anything to me. I'm waiting for them to. Yeah, when he told me what he told me, that's, I don't know how much it's changed in the last few years. For the prognosis, never good on what he told me. It was never good. I'm trying to remember. Okay, the kids go back to school, I think, next week. No, not next week, maybe the week after. What bugs me the most is I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to shave off. I'm gonna have to shave off a bunch of stuff. And the bottom line is my GPS is all screwed up thanks to all this stuff. What I like about the Insta360 is that it counts for all that stuff. It goes through the data points and it just maps everything. GoPro doesn't have a tool like that, so I have to sit there and cut it. I have to sit there and cut it myself. So if there's gaps, I have to sit there and go in there and fix it later. What I do is I take the GPX file and convert it to an MOV using a command line tool in Linux. That takes about 30 minutes. And then what I wind up having to do is take the MOV file, and I try to go into Caden Live, and I put the two video feeds together, and then I have to do a composite transform with a plus. That's gonna take all night. All right. All I'm doing is right now, it's not B-roll. What's happening is I'm trying to make up for those gaps, and there's no way. I'm not going to sit here for 5-10 minutes. So it just fascinates me. What I'm finding is there's a few outliers here and there, but for the most part, we got some mostly decent folks driving down here. You know, we got a few guys with some lead foot. That's enough filler.